to the Prophecy Club. We're going to continue with me reading from the very interesting book, The Harbinger by Jonathan Cahn, and I strongly recommend you call the Prophecy Club and get the Harbinger gift offer, 785-266-1112. Now, The Harbinger in progress. This was the dark gift that the Assyrians gave to the world. From the temples of Nineveh to the beer halls of Weimar Germany, to the barren caves of Afghanistan, from Sennacherib to Osama bin Laden, it all goes back to ancient Assyria. The Assyrians are the fathers of terrorism. And those who mercilessly plotted out the calamity on 9/11 were their spiritual children. Another link in the mystery joining America to ancient Israel. In both cases, the warning began with a manifestation of terrorism. Did the 9/11 terrorists see themselves as modern-day Assyrians? It doesn't matter, said the prophet. That's what they were. Remember the prophecy against Assyria. It is in his heart to destroy. Osama bin Laden and cut off not a few nations, that was his intention. But God would judge the Assyrians and their king. Then all those responsible for 9/11 are under his judgment. I will punish the fruit of the arrogant heart of the king of Assyria, said the prophet. Yes, they are under his judgment, and the Lord will send leanness or devastation among his warriors. So the Assyrians are the spiritual fathers of Al-Qaeda? Yes, and not only the spiritual, he replied. And what does that mean? The Assyrians were children of the Middle East. So too the terrorists of 9/11. The Assyrians were Semitic people. So too the terrorists. The Assyrians spoke a language called Akkadian. The tongue is long extinct, but there is still spoken in the modern world one language considered to be the closest of all tongues to the ancient Akkadian, which is, and the angel answered, Arabic. Arabic, the tongue of Al-Qaeda and the 9/11 terrorists. Yes, and so when the leaders of Al-Qaeda plotted their attack on America, and as the terrorists communicated with each other on 9/11 to carry it out, they did so using words and speech patterns they mirrored those used by the Assyrian leaders and warriors as they planned and executed their attack on Israel 2,500 years earlier in 732 BC. Like an ancient drama replaying itself in the modern world. He didn't reply. We continued walking along the stone reefs. It was strange. As I stared up at the ancient stone figures, I began to feel a sense of loathing toward them on one hand, and some kind of dread on the other. The Assyrian invasion, said the prophet, would ultimately draw ancient Israel into military conflict, war, and a final tragic national drama. So there you go, brothers and sisters. Count on it. Syria, actually the whole leopard, but the leopard is Egypt, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Iran. That's the caliphate. The leopard of Daniel 7:6 is all going to be partly involved in the fall of America. So, too, the attack of 9/11 would draw America into military conflict, a global battle against terrorism encompassing a war in Afghanistan and another in Iraq. In the first war, the connection to 9/11 was clear, but in the second, it was not so clear. And yet there was a connection, but of a more mystical nature. I said, what do you mean? In April 2003, American soldiers would enter the Iraqi city of Mosul. Mosul would become one of America's major operational bases in the Iraqi war. Inside the city, near the junction of the Tigris and the Kosor rivers, there rest two mounds of earth. One is called Koyunjik, the other Nabi Yunus. Hidden inside these mounds are the ruins of a once great civilization. The ruins are all that's left of the ancient city called Nineveh. Nineveh was the capital, the final resting place, and the graveyard of the Assyrian Empire. Assyria is Iraq. It's the same land, the angel said. The nation, under judgment, is drawn into conflict with the land of Assyria, ancient Israel, now America. And American troops are now walking on the same earth on which the feet of Assyrian soldiers had once marched. And Among those watching them pass by were those who could still claim to be the descendants of the ancient Assyrians. Their actual flesh and blood descendants, I ask? Yes, the angel said. And who knows but the veins of the 9/11 terrorists did not also flow with the blood of the ancient Assyrians. So ancient Israel, in its time of judgment, was drawn into a war with Assyria, which is now Iraq. Yes, he answered. And now America is being drawn into a war with the land of Assyria, i.e. Iraq. But Israel would ultimately discover that the danger it faced could not be solved by the power of its weapons or the thickness of its walls. The real danger was not outside the gates, but within them. When the nation turned from God, it lost its protective covering. Apart from a return to God, there would be no safety. But by the time they realized it, it would be too late. The chance was lost. Then the angel stopped walking and pointed upward to the figure above him, a giant Assyrian archer. And now the same sign that signaled the judgment of ancient Israel 2,500 years before reappears in the modern world, no less dark and no less threatening, the sign of the Assyrian, the attack of the terrorists. And what does it mean for America, I asked. Well, that is the question, he replied, isn't it? With those words, I sensed that our meeting was drawing to a close, and I was right. He handed me the next seal, the seal of the third Harbinger, which contained unrecognizable shapes at this point. Now I'm going to go on to the next time the angel came to him and get right to the point. The angel said, I came to help you find the third Harbinger and to give you the key to unlock all the Harbingers. I'm listening. The 9 Harbingers, what are they? He asks. Signs, warnings given to a nation in danger of judgment. And to whom did they first appear? To the people of ancient Israel. And when did they first appear? At the time of the breach, the first invasion. So that's where you need to look, Noriel, in 732 BC when the Assyrians invaded the land. That's where the word is. What does that mean? A word was given, a prophetic word. The word I've been searching for? With that, he reached into the inner lining of his coat and pulled out an object, a roll. He placed it on the table and carefully began unrolling it under the incandescent glow of the lamp. It appeared to be an ancient parchment on which were written words of an ancient-looking script. It looks like a piece of the Dead Sea Scrolls, I said. It was the nearest thing I could think of to describe what I was seeing. It does, he replied, but it's not a piece of the Dead Sea Scrolls. No, but close. What is it? He didn't answer, but passing his finger over the parchment, he began reading aloud the ancient words, Devar, Shalka, Adonai, which means, I ask, Davir, a word, Shaka, has been sent. A word has been sent, I repeated. Adonai, the Lord. A word has been sent, Lord. A word has been sent by the Lord, he said, correcting my translation. The Lord has sent a word by Yaakov to Jacob, and it has fallen upon Israel, and all the people will know it, Ephraim, and those who dwell in Samaria, who in pride and arrogance of heart say what? What I'm about to read, Noriel, is message given to ancient Israel in the days after the first attack. In this lies the key to unlock all the harbingers. By revealing their mysteries, the key of the nation's future and the future of America, once again he began passing his finger over the scroll and reciting its ancient words. This is the message, said the prophet. Or, the bricks have fallen, but we will rebuild with hewn stone. The sycamores have been cut down, but we will plant cedars in their place. I don't understand, I said. I don't even know what it's saying. How is it a key? This is Israel's response to the first invasion, the first calamity. These are the words that sum up the nation's spirit, a spirit of pride, defiance, arrogance in the face of calamity. Because these are the words that seal the nation's course and foretell its future. In the aftermath of the invasion, they're going to rebuild. It's what you do when something's destroyed. You rebuild. To cause them to turn back, to wake them up, to save them from greater judgment. They're not returning to God. Exactly. Instead of listening to the alarm, instead of turning back, instead of even pausing for a moment to re-examine their ways, they boast of their resolve. It wasn't about rebuilding at all. It was about ignoring the warning and rejecting the call to return. So they missed their warning. They did more than just miss it. They defied it. Notice the words. They weren't vowing just to rebuild what was destroyed, but to make themselves stronger than before, to become invulnerable to any future attack. So what they're saying is this: we will not be humbled. We will not search our ways or consider the possibility that something could go wrong. Instead, we'll defy the calamity. We'll beat it back. We'll rebuild. We'll undo the damage as if it never happened. Not only will we not change our course, we'll pursue it now with even more zeal. We'll come out of this calamity stronger than ever and rise to even greater heights than before. They were saying all that in those few words I ask. That's exactly what they were saying. That's exactly what it means. The alarm had sounded, and they were vowing to silence it. And what happens, Noriel, if you silence an alarm? You keep sleeping. And Isaiah 9:10 is the key to all of them? Yes, the angel said. It's the key that unlocks each of their mysteries and joins them all together. Each of the harbingers is connected. Each, when joined together with the other 8, forms a prophetic message. Each mystery is in itself a puzzle piece in a still larger mystery. So 2 of the harbingers you've revealed, what are the other 7? Ah, he replied, that would be telling. And he says, and it's for you to help me? I have. I just gave you the key. You could give me a little bit more to go on. He paused, as if carefully pondering every word that was about to proceed out of his mouth. Then, just as carefully and deliberately, he began to speak. 2 of the 9 you already know, the breach and the terrorist. These form the context. As for the other 7, one is of stone, the other is fallen, one ascends, one is alive, the other once was. We'll be right back after this message. Is it possible that an ancient harbinger holds the secret of America's future? That this mystery lies behind everything from 9/11 to the collapse of the global economy? Are the ancient harbingers of judgment now manifesting in America? Is God sending America a prophetic warning of what is to come? Before its destruction as a nation, ancient Israel received 9 harbingers, prophetic omens of warning. The same 9 harbingers now appear to be manifesting in America with immediate ramifications for end-time Bible prophecy. Hidden in an ancient biblical prophecy from Isaiah, the mysteries revealed in the Harbinger are so precise that they foretold recent American events down to the exact day. The revelations are so specific that even the most hardened skeptics find it hard to dismiss. It sounds like a plot out of a Hollywood thriller, but it's real. Topics are: what is a harbinger? What are the 9 harbingers? What did the harbingers bring to Israel? Have 9 harbingers hit America now? Was 9/11 America's first harbinger? Does Isaiah 9:10 prophesy the fall of America? Does the harbinger involve some of America's highest leaders? Does the Shemitah have a prophecy for America? Is there a harbinger, a prophetic warning hidden in America's consecration ground? How the harbinger fits into end-time Bible prophecy. Call the Prophecy Club. Ask for the Harbinger, 785-266-1112. The Harbinger, 785-266-1112. Call now. And now, back to the program. One is of stone, the other is fallen. One ascends, one is alive, the other once was. One speaks of what is, and the other speaks of what would be. There was another long pause before I ventured a response. You know, I said, I'm not telling you how to do your job, but this would all be a lot easier if you just gave me a map and a few subway tokens. You don't need a token, you have the key. And what do I do with that? You use it to find the third harbinger. We started down the front steps, and that's when it hit me. We were standing right under one of the lions when I realized it. That's where I stopped to take out the seal and look at it once more. I have it! I have it, I said. The angel turned and said, You have what? The third harbinger. I know what it is. And what is it? It's the bricks from the prophecy from Isaiah. The bricks have fallen. That's how it begins. The image on the seal. That's what is in the ruins. Fallen bricks, a pile of fallen bricks. The angel said, Very good, Noriel. Now, tell me what it means. Well, it would be the ruins left in the wake of the Assyrian invasion. Correct, he said. When the Assyrian attack was over, the people of Israel began surveying the damage. What they found were the ruins of collapsed buildings, heaps of rubble, and fallen bricks. The bricks had fallen. They were fragile to begin with, bricks of clay and straw, and dried in the midday sun. Any building made of these would be especially vulnerable to destruction. So the pile of fallen bricks became the most visible sign of the calamity and of the fact that the nation's existence now rested on shaky ground. It was now vulnerable and in danger. The breach had been made, and the destruction, though limited, had begun. So the ruined heap of fallen bricks was a sign, I said, not just of what had happened, but of what would happen if the nation didn't change its course. The angel said, Exactly. The sign of the collapse of a building, the collapse of a kingdom, and then a collapse of the civilization. He asked me for the seal, and then, lifting it up, he began to explain its meaning. He said, The third harbinger, enemies enter the land and cause destruction. The destruction leaves the nation traumatized, but the scope and duration of that destruction are limited. The most visible signs of the attack is the ruin heaps of fallen bricks, stone, and rubble, where they once had stood a building. The bricks have fallen. The third harbinger, the fallen bricks, ground zero. As the dust of September 11th settled on New York City, people emerged to survey the damage. The World Trade Center had collapsed into a colossal heap of ruins. As Americans watched on their television sets and computer screens, the image of the colossal ruin heap at ground zero became the most visible and identifiable sign of what had happened. A strange image, several stories high, surreal, and haunting. In the days and the weeks that followed, the image would be seared into the nation's collective consciousness. A sign of destruction, although, as with ancient Israel, a destruction limited in scope and duration. And yet, as in the ancient case, the ruin heap would serve as a sign against the nation's sense of invulnerability. America was now vulnerable. The breach had been made. The stones were coming undone. And the nation's security was resting on shaky ground. I said, But the World Trade Center wasn't made out of clay bricks, I countered. The effect, though, was the same. The ancient prophecy opens up with the image of collapse, the ruins of fallen buildings. It was the same image of collapse and of the ruins of fallen buildings that confronted America. In those first dark days following September 11th, the American towers fell with the same suddenness as did the clay bricks and buildings of ancient Israel. In a matter of moments, they had become a heap of ruins. And yet the connection was still more literal. I said, What do you mean? The angel said, The ruin heap of ground zero was filled with steel, concrete, and glass. But not only that, bricks. As in, the bricks have fallen. The fallen bricks of ancient Israel comprise a warning concerning the nation's future. So, too, the fallen bricks of Ground Zero, the World Trade Center, was a symbol of America's economic power, proud, majestic, towering. But in a matter of moments, it had come crashing down to dust, a warning to even the most proud, majestic, and towering of nations that no nation is invulnerable or exempt from the day that its power comes crashing down to the earth, even in a moment's time. The bricks have fallen is not just destruction. It's about a nation's response to destruction, its vow of defiance. So how did America's reaction to 9/11 compare to that of ancient Israel? Do you remember the days that followed 9/11, he asks. Of course, I answered. No one had to say it. It was as if almost everyone had some sort of sense about it, even if they couldn't put it in words. It was as if the nation had unconsciously heard a silent voice calling it to be still and to return to its foundation. The voice of God? Yes. And for a moment, America appeared to be responding. The rush and clamor of its culture were stilled. Wall Street came to a standstill. Hollywood grew silent. Throughout the nation, there was a noticeable and massive turning away from the superficial and to the spiritual. Even the name of God was taken out of the closet and publicly proclaimed from Capitol Hill to New York City. Multitudes sang, "God bless America," and gathered for prayer. America's houses of worship overflowed with throngs of people seeking to find solace. In those first few days and weeks after 9/11, it seemed as if there might be a true national turning, a changing of course, an awakening, even a spiritual revival. But then America was turning back to God, I said. The angel said, no. America was not turning back to God. It was a spiritual revival that never came. And even the appearance of turning back was short-lived. It had no real root. There was no real change of heart or course. No searching of ways. No questioning as if something could be wrong. No repentance. So it couldn't last. And it wasn't long before the moment was lost, and things began to return to a form of normalcy. The calls for prayer would fade away. The rush and clamor of daily life would resume. The spiritual searching would be abandoned, and the superficial again embraced. The name of God would again be withdrawn from the public square, and most of those who had suddenly flocked to houses of worship would cease their flocking. The nation would resume its departure from God and its rejection of his ways, only now with increased speed. So how did America's response to 9/11 compare with in Isaiah 9:10? It was the same. From one commentary. Commentary? The commentaries are writings on the Bible explaining the meaning verse by verse, but not the Bible. Not the Word of God, but commentary on the Word of God. So you study the commentaries, I asked, surprised at the idea of it. I have. I just didn't picture a prophet studying, and he interrupted. And why not? He replied. Is God not able to speak through such things? I guess he is. One commentary on Isaiah 9:10 describes how the people of ancient Israel viewed their national calamity. There is no way for the people to ignore the obvious disaster, yet they choose not to recognize its deeper meaning. They do not respond to God. They only respond, inadequately, to the threatening situation. Take those same words and bring them into the 21st century, and now you have a description of post-9/11 America. So then it would mean that in the wake of 9/11, America only responded to the immediate and obvious situation, the destruction caused by the calamity and to the danger it threatened, but never considered that there could be anything deeper, no significance behind the obvious. The bricks have fallen, but that was the point. Another commentary on the ancient vow puts it this way. The people, declared the prophet, did not take this calamity as a judgment from God, but hardened their hearts and declared, the bricks have fallen, but we will build with hewn stones. The sycamores are cut down, but we will build with cedars in their place. Then America was shutting off the alarm. Yes, silencing the alarm meant to awaken it. Did anyone realize it? While others sensed something more, something deeper, but couldn't put their finger on exactly what it was. But the alarm had sounded. The nation was in danger. Its bricks had fallen. Its stones were loosening, and it was only the beginning of the bricks have fallen. Is only the opening of the ancient vow. There was more of the mystery to unfold. It's what's happened after 9/11 that would prove even more ominous. It's then that he opened his right hand, exposing the next seal, the seal of the Fourth Harbinger. He said as he handed it to me, "This one, Noriel, is different. The seal." "Oh, the seal?" "No," he answered, "the Harbinger." Unlike the first three, the Fourth Harbinger was conceived on American soil, and it wasn't set in motion by the nation's enemies. Then who set it in motion? America's leaders. America's leaders, I said. "Yes," said the angel. "And how will I know it?" Now, again, I'm calling him an angel. Jonathan Cahn is only referring to him as a prophet. I'm the one that thinks he is an angel. I want to make that clear. Anyway, let's continue. "And how will I know it?" It's hard to miss. It's the largest one. Now, brothers and sisters, I recommend you call the Prophecy Club and you get this Jonathan Cahn gift offer. And I also want to say I thank you. I thank you very much for listening. I thank you for your prayers and your gifts of support. God bless you. Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. Is it possible that an ancient harbinger holds the secret of America's future? That this mystery lies behind everything from 9/11 to the collapse of the global economy? Are the ancient harbingers of judgment now manifesting in America? Is God sending America a prophetic warning of what is to come? Before its destruction as a nation, ancient Israel received 9 harbingers, prophetic omens of warning. The same 9 harbingers now appear to be manifesting in America with immediate ramifications for end-time Bible prophecy. Hidden in an ancient biblical prophecy from Isaiah, the mysteries revealed in the Harbinger are so precise that they foretold recent American events down to the exact day. The revelations are so specific that even the most hardened skeptics find it hard to dismiss. It sounds like a plot out of a Hollywood thriller, but it's real. Topics are: what is a harbinger? What are the 9 harbingers? What did the harbingers bring to Israel? Have 9 harbingers hit America now? Was 9/11 America's first harbinger? Does Isaiah 9:10 prophesy the fall of America? Does the harbinger involve some of America's highest leaders? Does the Shemitah have a prophecy for America? Is there a harbinger, a prophetic warning hidden in America's consecration ground? How the harbinger fits into end-time Bible prophecy. Call the Prophecy Club. Ask for the Harbinger, 785-266-1112. The Harbinger, 785-266-1112. Call now. The Prophecy Club summer newsletter is now available for download at prophecyclub.com, or you can call 785-266-1112 and we'll mail it to you free. We have 6 meetings scheduled and articles like The Rise of the Islamic Leopard, Obama's Drive to Disarm America, The Russian Bear is Rising, and 7 new DVDs to inform you of last day's events. That's prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112 for our free newsletter.